and they win the NFC South.
It is March 31st, which obviously means tomorrow is April, which obviously means it's draft season. Waited long enough. It's time to get some draft videos out. What's good, everybody? Let's talk some Tampa sports. In this video, we're going to be going over the top first round pick options for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, given their needs and who would possibly be available to them at pick 19. Let's get into it. As you would expect based on the play last season, I'm expecting defense 1,000% in the first round of this draft, and that's pretty much all I'm going to show you is defensive players, because that's really all that's projected to go to the Bucs for good reason. So, corner, a huge target in this draft. They could double up on corner in early rounds. After day 2, they may have 2 corners drafted. It is very much a possibility. So let's start with this first one. Will Johnson. Tall, Todd Bowles-ish corner out of Michigan. That's 6'2", nearly 200 pounds. That's usually the profile that Todd Bowles likes for his corner. You see Zion, he's 6'1", Jamel, similar there, so the height fits. In 2024, he was third team All-American, which be like, he was third team All-American. Why is he projected in the first round? You'll see here soon. Honorable mention Big Ten, tied for the team lead with 2 interceptions, set school record with 3 interceptions returned for a touchdown in his career. Playmaking, something Todd Bowles has been on a mic saying we need more of. There you go right there. Started 6 games, missed the second half of a season due to a foot injury that would be a turf toe injury, and that is the reason why a third team All-American is projected top 20. He could be a guy, he's probably more looked at this current moment, around like pick 15-ish, I would say. The 2 really good first round pick corners, Will Johnson and the next guy we're going to get into, might not be there for the Bucs. It's possible. There's plenty of mocks out there projecting that they do fall to the Bucs, but very much could go in that 13 to 17 range. Are the Bucs willing to move up? I don't know. With them only having 6 draft picks, it would have to be a swap, like 2 for 2. You get this first and a 4th, and we get your first and a 7th, something like that. So his overview. Teams, including the Buccaneers, love big, fluid cornerbacks with ball production, and that is exactly what Johnson offers. Instinctive and plays with good body control and change of direction in space. He can play man coverage, but he's best when playing with his eyes forward instead of chasing routes downfield. Lately, maybe the last 2-ish seasons, we've been seeing a lot of off-zone coverage from Todd Bowles, whether that be to a lack of trust, or maybe it's what he's just going for nowadays. I tend to lean towards the first portion of that. It fits. Johnson displays good pre-snap recognition and can read, anticipate routes, throws at a high level. While he plays the role of thief in coverage, he needs to balance that mentality with a healthy respect for NFL route runners, as he might lack recovery speed to close the distance at a desired rate. So strengths, obviously, big dude, presses, connects well from the press, good body control, pre-snap recognition, smart guy. So they're calling out pre-snap, they're calling out being able to read the passer and anticipate routes. Transitions are fluid and well-timed. So you're really looking at big, athletic dude. Might struggle to get back into play if he misreads it, but more often than not, he's a smart guy. He can read the passer, and that's what they're saying are the strengths of Will Johnson. Weaknesses. Everyone has weaknesses. There's no perfect prospect. Suffered a season-ending turf toe injury. That is an injury that is reoccurring. Ball greed, makes him susceptible, I'm a little slow, to double moves. Struggles to factor once he's stacked by a receiver. Average recovery burst, which is something I just called out, when he's beaten inside the route. Can afford to become more aggressive in run support, and open field overruns lead to missed arm tackles. So Those last 2 bullet points are calling out there can be some improvement in the run game. But overall, I absolutely love the prospect, and I would be perfectly fine with the Buccaneers. Actually thrilled with the Buccaneers making this pick in the first round. They're classifying him as boom or bust potential. I guess you just hope for the boom. Next up is Jahdae Barron. It's kind of interesting how players' stock rises and falls as we go throughout draft season. Early on, Will Johnson was projected a top 10 pick. Jahdae Barron was, more towards the Bucs range. Lately, we've been seeing kind of it swap. So Will Johnson was way up here, and now he's sliding back, where Jahdae Barron kind of flipping places a little bit. 2 very different corners. Will Johnson is that big outside guy. He probably could play a little bit inside, but we did see that it was talking about how he can give a little on inside routes and get beat. Jahdae Barron, that is a nickel cornerback. 5'11", 200 pounds, 4'4", 40-yard dash, plenty of speed there for the professional standards. So first team All-American, first team All-SEC, won the Jim Thorpe Award for Nation's Top DB, finalist for Nation's Top Defender, Peach Bowl Defensive MVP. I mean, the guy did it all in 2024. There's no injury risk that I've heard about this guy. Funny enough, NFL comparison, Tyke Smith. Funny how that works. All of this talk about Tyke Smith potentially moving to safety. Maybe he ends up staying at nickel, depending on who the Bucs draft. If they do want to move Tyke Smith to safety and see his playmaking skills next to Antoine Winfield Jr., this would just pretty much, it would work out perfectly there, where you put in Jahdae Barron at nickel. You got your 2 outside corners, whoever else they draft, and Zion McCollum, and wherever Jamel Dean falls into this equation. And then behind you, Antoine and Tyke. Safety. I'll feel real safe with both of those guys on the back end. All right, his overview. Big Nickelback was in the right place at the right time throughout 2024. Barron played smothering coverage underneath, fueled by route recognition, footwork, and play strength. Those are all things that you really want for a Nickelback. His instincts allow him to pounce on catch points, tackle pass catchers immediately from zone. However, he lacks recovery speed deep and can be a little too grabby at the top of the route and man. Tackle technique and run support is a shade inconsistent, but looks easily correctable. All good signs there for if you're inside, if you're playing nickel, you got to be able to tackle. The size and tape work in his favor as a physical nickel who can be an early contributor and starter with the potential to cross-train as a safety. Like, that literally sounds like Tyke Smith. Like, really sounds like Tyke Smith. So this could give the Bucs a ton of versatility and absolutely be able to confuse offenses with, well, Tyke Smith is here and Jahdae Barron's there. Both of them can play nickel. Both of them can play safety. Who's actually playing safety in this play and who's playing nickel in this play? There's a lot they could do with that. If both of them can really cross-train as safeties and nickels, oh yeah, Todd Bowles would love that. So strengths, I think we all got that down in the overview. Weaknesses, limited exposure and man coverage. Might not have top-end speed to carry verticals. I mean, they just said he ran a 4.4, but in-game speed is different. Average lateral transitions, need to run through and wrap up more frequently. Short arms could impact ball production and tackle success, whatever. That's a bunch of BS in my opinion. Jahdae Barron, that is another prospect. They are rating him as will become good starter within 2 years. Love it in the first round. I would be absolutely thrilled with Jahdae Barron. Switching positions. The really, in my opinion, the only edge rusher in the first round that is likely to be in that range of where the Buccaneers are drafted, who does fit the bill, who does have the value to be picked at 19. That's Donovan Ezeiruaku from Boston College. 16.5 sacks last season. Won the Ted Hendricks Award, nation's top defensive end, first team All-American, ACC Defensive Player of the Year, first team All-ACC, second in FBS with 16.5 sacks, like I said, third with 20.5 tackles for loss, led his team with 3 forced fumbles, playmaker, played 12 games, with 11 starts, did not play in his team's bowl game and was a team captain. So there you go with the character strength. His NFL comparison is Yannick Ngakoue, which is another athletic but slightly undersized edge guy, and that's exactly how the overview start. Slightly undersized outside linebacker for a 3-4 front with long arms plus athleticism. Ezeiruaku uses a bit of his length paired with aggression to mitigate size differences at the point of attack. He gets engulfed at times but typically separates from or slips blocks cleanly. He's quick off the snap, using bend and agility to win at the top of the rush or make stops in the backfield. His hands exploit small advantages to turn into big ones, and he has a variety of ways to challenge protection, though he's still learning to craft his plans. Ezeiruaku's play demeanor, skill, and athletic talent are underpinnings of a productive starter with 3-down value. We already know Todd Bowles doesn't believe in 3-down value. You're getting subbed in and subbed out. The edge position is interesting to me. Yes, I believe they will draft an edge, and yes, I still do think it is a need, just until further notice, honestly, until we see someone get these double-digit sack numbers. Until further notice, I think it is a need, but you look at what they did, free agency, and just the room as a whole. Hassan Reddick, Yaya Diaby, they bring back Anthony Nelson. You still got Jose Ramirez back there. You still got Chris Braswell, a second-round pick. Still has plenty of room to improve and evolve into a nice pass rusher for the Buccaneers. It's not a terrible room on paper, but just until further notice, it's a need. That's just the reality of the situation, because this team severely needs a pass rush and severely needs to be able to win rushing for and not having to send Levante David, which opens up the middle of the field, and you know the rest. So for his weaknesses, they say works under the block and loses contain, gets engulfed by size of tacklers, helps wear down his rush energy, lacks bull rush power. Mainly, they're just talking about his size. Basically saying he's, 6'2.5", 250. It's not like he's tiny. He's slightly undersized. For an edge, but it's not something I'd be too worried about if we draft him and be like, this guy's too small. He can't compete. Like, come on now. In a conference like the ACC, he's winning Defensive Player of the Year. He's nation's top defensive end, Ted Hendricks Award, first team All-American. Like, he's proven it enough. Let's stop talking about the size. All right, next is Malachi Starks. I don't think safety is as big of a need as corner and edge, but it still is a need. They're still trying to figure out what they want to do with the spot next to Antoine Winfield Jr., whether they do put Tyke Smith back there or they draft someone early on. So Malachi Starks, 6'1", 200 pounds, out of Georgia. Actually did play with Tyke Smith at Georgia. Ran a 4.5. So 2024, second team All-American, second team All-SEC, finalist for Jim Thorpe Award. Led the team with 77 tackles and started all 14 games. 4 tackles for loss, 1 interception, and 3 pass breakups. So 3-year starter with reams of high-leverage games on his resume. Starks is a versatile safety with size and athleticism to eliminate contested catches and the speed of ball skills to shine when the action travels deep, which I have seen in watching some highlights of him. Like, the guy can high point a ball. The guy can get up there, show his athleticism, and come down with it. Connection to the route is inconsistent in man, and he's baited out of position by misdirection, but better discipline and anticipation should clean that up. He's not a true force player near the line, and his pursuit angles can be raggedy, but he gets guys down when he's in position. Stark has feast or famine moments on tape and disappointed with his short area testing at the NFL Scouting Combine. He ran well in Indianapolis, though, and was impressive in interviews with teams. He's a future starter as a movable back-end piece whose consistency will determine his floor and ceiling. That is one thing I've absolutely heard about Malachi Starks, is he is smart. Very smart. And that's his top strength. Has football IQ and athleticism to play multiple sports, speed to phase deep routes and recover when necessary. Those are really the things that I've seen. Like, he truly is kind of that rover, that roamer safety in the back end, where he's really good at not getting beat deep, and even if the wide receiver is a little bit behind him, he's able to time that ball, high point it, come down with it, or create that pass breakup. So, weaknesses: average peripheral vision and block shed as a down safety. How do they test peripheral? Like, are y'all testing his eyes? Is he getting an eye test at a doctor? How are we testing his peripheral vision? Slows and catches contact when tackling running backs. Inconsistent to stack blocks or spill the run from the box. Suspect pursuit angles. Too many eye violations. They hate this dude's eyes. Too many eye violations. Loses connection at breakpoints when playing man. I wouldn't say Starks is my top guy, but I do think he could be a starter. They say he will eventually be a plus starter. I think he can be a starter day one for the Buccaneers next to Antoine Winfield Jr. and be productive. It's not much to be better than what was at the position last year. Jordan Whitehead was extremely inconsistent, especially in coverage. It was not good in the middle of the field all year. Got beat. I think this is an upgrade if the Bucs do decide to go Malachi Starks. And lastly, from the University of Alabama, 6'3", 235 pounds, Jihad Campbell. This is the most... this says will eventually be plus starter. I think this is the guy where it should say boom or bust potential. The athleticism, the size, like he has all of the makings to be an absolute monster. Runs a 4.5 at 6'3", 235. 2024 first team All SEC. Led the team with 117 tackles, 11.5 tackles for loss, 5 sacks. Tied for the team lead with 2 forced fumbles. Started all 13 games. Had 1 interception and 2 pass breakups. Pure athlete. Similar to, like a Micah Parsons, where played middle linebacker, but was that good of an athlete where you're just like, go to edge. That's more valuable of a position and ball out. Similar to Hassan Reddick. He started as middle linebacker. You're such an athlete, just go rush the passer. And that is, kind of the story, in my opinion, of Jihad Campbell. So Campbell has the build and traits of an Alabama linebacker, but might need to upgrade in some areas. He doesn't play with early instincts or play recognition, and is inconsistent in challenging blockers and leveraging his run fits. Campbell uses his speed and athleticism to help mitigate mistakes and get to the football at relatively high rate. He's a rangy, consistent, open field tackler who excels on third downs as a fluid blitzer and impressive cover talent. The elite traits and athletic talent will be tantalizing, but the best way to utilize him might be as a full-time 3-4 rush linebacker, like I just said, where he can play more proactively instead of reactively as an off-ball linebacker. Such an athlete, such a boom or bust guy. You just gotta find what fits the guy best, because there has to be a place on defense where a guy of his skill, his athleticism, his size can make a heck of an impact. I don't see how it's not possible. Weaknesses: lacks instincts and plays through a straw, whatever the hell that means. Gets caught behind blocks and will lose contain. Catches contact more than he doles it out at the point. Needs to attack blocks and constrict his gap. Allows edge blockers to widen him off the spot. By the way, he did also get a, labrum surgery. So that's like 6 to 8 months right there. That's what Servassier Dennis dealt with last year. So he will miss OTAs. He probably will miss training camp. He probably will miss preseason. If you're counting 6 to 8 months, that's another knock. So you look at that linebacker room right now. You got Servassier, you got Levante, you bring in Anthony Walker. There's definitely room for another guy there, whether it's in the first round with the Jihad Campbell. It's TBD. But then again, will he even stay a linebacker? Will this guy end up being better off as an edge rusher? It's just a lot of unknown. There's people who get paid to find out what that unknown is. That's not me. I'm really interested. I'd love to know what the Bucs see Jihad Campbell and his future, his outlook being, because it's exciting, honestly. I was going to say it's scary, but it's exciting because the athleticism, the size, the talent, the skill, it's all there. Find the best spot. So that's going to be it for me, though. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please leave your top guy. Maybe I didn't even talk about him. That's completely possible. There's so many prospects out there. Leave your top guy down below and why. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. Go Bucs. It's that time of year, baby. Y'all have a blessed one.